who's a Senior Policy Officer, and also Renee Heaton, who we've already seen. Hi, Renee. Renee's the chair of the ACT Disability Reference Group. They're going to talk about the new Disability Inclusion Act as well as the Disability Advisory Council, which is recruiting now, if you haven't seen the message. A bit more info about Renee. Renee's an advocate and leader who's led the ACT Disability Reference Group for around 4 years. Her strategic advice has guided government in responding to the needs of people with disability during COVID, as well as a busy time for disability reform. According to her Canberra, Renee is also an amateur native bee enthusiast, a lover of Lux red lipsticks and a keen knitter. You're too famous.
You might have seen me knitting during that presentation. I'm sorry if you did.
Good to see a pastime that works for long Teams meetings as well. Thanks for joining us, Renee and Jane and Kieran. The floor is yours.
No worries. Thank you very much, Sarah. Jane Flanagan here from the ACT Government Office for Disability. I thought I would kick us off today. Firstly, a very big thanks to Craig and the wider Advocacy for Inclusion team for supporting us to come along and have today's discussion. We're really keen to get information out about the new Disability Inclusion Act in the ACT and to share some information about the soon-to-be established Disability Advisory Council, mainly because we want people with disability and other folks, such as carers, etc., to really consider applying to join the Disability Advisory Council and provide your expert advice and ideas to the new Disability Advisory Council. A very big thank you to Kieran, I believe, who is online sharing our PowerPoints. I'm rehashing what Sarah just shared, but allow me to again. There's myself and Kieran from the Office for Disability. We're in the Community Services Directorate in ACT Government here today. And we're also joined with Renee, Renee Heaton, who is our chair on the ACT Disability Reference Group. So big thanks to Renee for coming along today as well. And yes, in a nutshell, we're going to talk about the Disability Inclusion Act. That's a new law in the ACT. And that new law has created a couple of things which we'll go through, which has also supported the establishment of the new Advisory Council. And then we'll have some questions and discussions. So thank you very much. Let's get straight into it. The Disability Inclusion Act, previously the Disability Inclusion Bill, was a private member's bill that passed through the Legislative Assembly last year and this year, and pretty much commenced in the ACT in March of this year. The new law kicks off a series of new actions happening across ACT government that will address ableism and work to promote and protect the human rights of people with disability in the ACT. The new law, its principles align with the social model of disability, and the principles also align with expectations and values set out in the Convention of the Rights of Persons with Disability. So it takes a human rights approach. The new law requires government to take practical steps to address ableism by working with people with disability, their families and allies to develop disability strategies and disability plans. So what this practically means is from here on out, ACT government directorates, bodies and public entities will be required to commence the development of disability strategies and plans. We currently have a cabinet process happening in government where we're looking to get final confirmation around what the development of regulations looks like, which pretty much means how we're going to implement the new law practically across government. But the new law does have expectations set out in the legislation, providing us with a very good framework and insight into what's expected. The development of there'll be 7 new disability inclusion strategies. Some of them are already supported with existing disability strategies, and others may need to be developed as new strategies to support priority areas that align with Australia's disability strategy. And under these strategies, different areas across ACT government are going to have to develop and implement disability inclusion plans. Many folks may know disability inclusion plans by another name, such as disability action and inclusion plans or disability access and inclusion plans. At the end of the day, they live and breathe and are very much all the same thing, which are practical plans that are time limited with practical actions and areas of responsibility telling us who is going to address what barrier, by when and how. So this is the new legislation in the ACT, and from a whole of government perspective, over the coming years, we will see the law requires the development of new DIPs, we're calling them, disability inclusion plans, across ACT government directorates and bodies. The new law also has mandated minimum expectations around direct engagement with people with disability as part of the development of these DIPs. The new law also talks about what that consultation looks like, which is ACT government teams are to engage with diverse people with disability, taking into consideration differences or diversity considerations around disability type, LGBTIQA, called age, indigeneity, statuses, etc., etc. And the third thing that this new law does is creates a new advisory council to the Minister for Disability in ACT government. As you're all probably aware, Renee is the chair of our existing advisory council, the Disability Reference Group. The DRG will come to an end on June 30, where membership terms will end, and to make way for the establishment of a new council called the Disability Advisory Council, as per the expectations of the new law. So I think I'm passing over now to my colleague, Kieran, is that right? Or have I got our order?
Yes, you are.
Fantastic. Thank you, Kieran.
Thanks, Jane. So as Jane mentioned, the Disability Advisory Council, or the DAC, is a ministerial advisory council established by the Act. And members who will be on the council will provide advice to the Minister for Disability about issues important to and impacting people with disability. Members will also foster cooperative relationships between people with disability, their families, their carers, relevant organizations, government, and the community. So we are currently seeking applicants from the community, including the chair and the deputy chair. And later on in the presentation, I'll show you where you can go to look at these applications and ways you can apply for it. Applications will be open till Monday, the 26th of May, 2025, which is about 26 days from now, and members of the DAC will draw on their experience and engagement to provide advice to the Minister and ACT government. Now, this might be difficult to understand what it means practically. So for that, to provide you with a bit of insight on what this looks like, we have Renee Heaton, who's been introduced multiple times as chair of the Disability Reference Group, who will talk through a bit about her insights and experiences in the DRG. With that, I'll pass on to Renee.
Hello, everyone. It's Renee here, speaking to you from Ngunnawal country. I thought I would talk to you a little bit about my experience on the Disability Reference Group. But just as a bit of an introduction, as well as being an avid knitter and a native bee enthusiast, I'm a person with disability. I have lived in Canberra my entire life in the same house, actually. And I've been disabled for all but one of the years of my life. So I've experienced a lifetime of disability and navigating the different things that happen in life with disability. So from school and health, tertiary education, trying to get a job, health, support, therapy, all those things. I've got loads of lived experience with interacting and trying to have a good life with disability, right? And when I came to the DRG, it was really just by chance. I didn't know anything really about the group. I didn't really know what it did. I hadn't heard of it ever before. Like, I don't know how many of you have heard of it. It's okay if you haven't, that's fine. And I knew that I was just ready to do something else for myself and for the community. So my journey to disability pride has been a long journey. And even though I'd done small bits of advocacy, it was mainly around my own self and from my own viewpoint. And I really felt that was helpful in motivating me to pursue other opportunities where I could grow as an advocate. So when the DRG came up, I thought I was ready, right? But joining the group was like, it's been the best decision I've ever made in my life. I cannot overstate how much this has meant to me and to my life. And not just because I know a heap of new people and I got a heap of new friends, but also because it just helped me grow as an advocate and as a person. So the group's in a really unique position, right? Because it's really within government. We like to think that we're not, but we kind of are. We work to a minister. And so you have to remember that as an important consideration if you're interested in the gig. So the way I've approached the DRG and I've led the DRG is really to be a collaborative group across government, within government, and with the minister, and to build those relationships and to foster that trust. We work closely with the Office for Disability. We have to, right? Otherwise, we don't have supporters on the inside. And despite what you might think, you need those people, because just telling a government what they should do doesn't work. You'd be surprised, right? So you need those relationships. You need to know who's got skin in the game, who's going to be your ally, who's going to help you, and now how to leverage those people and influence it. And you'd be surprised how much easier it is to foster agreement, just being a nice person and being actually in the room with somebody. I've made it sound like you can't push back or you can't speak frankly. That's so not true. In fact, having those relationships makes it much more impactful when you do push back, right? Because yes, there's a certain level of judgment required, but it has always been, I'm here for you and I'm here to support you, Minister, but I am going to tell you the truth. I am going to tell you the range of experiences that people have had. I can tell you what I think and what the DRG thinks would be a good response or a good way forward or a solid piece of advice. But I can also tell you, if you don't do it quite that way, what might happen? What are the risks that you need to think about and how might it play out? And that's kind of always been my approach, right? I'm here not to tell you what to do. I'm here to tell you what would make good sense and what would make life easier for people with disability and what community want to see. But it's up to you. You're the decision maker. And if you make the decision, you wear the outcomes kind of thing. They also get the glory, right? Yeah, I think what you have to remember is when you're working this way, you're always going to be better off than you were before. And I know sometimes it feels like we aren't. We're making progress slowly. But I think if you reflect, so like when I reflect back on my last 5 years of my life, right, how much has happened during that time? And I picked a good time to join the DRG, right before COVID and right before all the disability reform stuff happened. So the breadth and the depth of things that the group gets to be a part of is so exciting. It could be really boring, right? But it's also like really exciting. So I could be having a conversation one morning about like the bus stops at the Canberra hospital. And in the afternoon, I'm talking to the minister about the voluntary assisted dying legislation or phase 2A of the light rail extension, right? The work is never ending. And so I guess that's something else to keep in mind, right? It isn't just a meeting every 2 months, although it is, but there is an endless supply of work to do in this space. And sometimes it might be responding to a really straightforward question via an email. Sometimes it might be attending a community forum or a meeting outside of the DAC, for example, the new DAC, sorry. Or it might be establishing and being part of an ongoing working group to work on a particular topic or piece of work. It is a good mix of work that you can do, right? But a lot of the time, the time frames can be tight, right? I like a lot of stuff doesn't necessarily get planned out the way we would like it to. So for example, there was a time when there was a proposed amendment that just popped up to the voluntary assisted dying law, and it had really big implications for the disability community. And I didn't really know about it. I was called in to the minister to talk about it. So I had to find out about it really quickly, right? And so that's where working as part of a team and working in the group was really helpful because I could draw on the experiences and the knowledge of a whole range of people and go in and talk to the minister about what that meant for community. And so that can happen really quickly, right? So you do need to be a bit aware of that. Sometimes, yes, there won't be 17 weeks to do a consultation on something. It will be a day or two. But you also, so I guess you have to be comfortable in making time for that in your life, or you have to be comfortable going, okay, my voice isn't necessarily going to be in on this, but I know somebody else's will be, because there always is, right? It's not particularly public facing work, like I said, like you don't necessarily hear about the DRG, but it's really extensive. Like there's a lot of work to do, and it's really, I'm going to be cliche, it's really rewarding. It's the stuff that makes your heart pound a little bit more in your chest, right? It's the stuff that you know needs attention, and that you can be part of that that you can help a group be part of that is really, yeah, it's really rewarding and yeah, an incredible piece of work, lots of different pieces of work. And I guess when I reflect back on my time as the chair and being part of the DRG, you know, I had my own experiences of like ableism and discrimination and lack of access, and I knew how to advocate for myself and my own experience, right? But this has been such a eye-opening, rewarding experience to help me grow and understand the experience of a range of people with disability. So to be able to grow that knowledge, to be able to advocate for not just yourself but others is an incredible place to be in. So yeah, that's my experience, and I'm happy to take questions later if people would like to ask anything. Thank you.
Thank you, Renee. That was very beautifully said. So going on to how you can apply for the new Disability Advisory Council. The expression of interest can be viewed online on the ACT Diversity Register or on the Jobs ACT website. We will also send these links to AFI to send out to the attendees. Or if you like, you can email or call the Office for Disability to request a copy of the expression of interest. And then in a couple of slides, we've got our contact details as well. In the expression of interest, it asks you to answer 4 questions. And you also have a terms of reference document, which sets out the roles and responsibilities of members of the Disability Advisory Council on a very high level. And we'd just like to let you know that, again, you can email or call the Office for Disability if you require any reasonable adjustments to participate in this process at any point in time. The expression of interest on the diversity register, we've also got easy English versions of it, if that's suitable. And going on to the next slide on the ways you can apply. So the first way you can do it is to submit your written application on the diversity register itself. So you there's a form you can click through and everything where you can upload your documents. You can also email your application to the Office for Disability. You can also email or call us to make a time to meet up with one of the members of our team to respond to your questions. We can meet up face-to-face or online, whatever your preference is. Or you can also make a short video of yourself and email it to the Office for Disability. And that takes us to the end of our presentation. And before we go to any questions, I've just got the contact details for the Office for Disability. So our email address is officefordisability@act.gov.au. And our phone number is 02-6207-1086. All right, and that's it. Any questions for any of us?
Thanks, Kieran and Jane and Renee. Does anyone have any questions about the Act, the new Advisory Council, how to apply for a job? And it sounds like a fabulous opportunity to get involved and be part of the conversation of making a difference. No questions from anyone?
I will just point out, Craig is also a member of the DRG. If anyone wants to bug him about his experiences, you may. And Craig has a different lens, right? Because he's in systemic advocacy and he's been doing this a long time. So he will have a different kind of view about the work of the DRG. So yeah, feel free, Craig. I've put you on the spot, but if you have questions, Craig, you may ask them too. Sorry, Craig.
It's all been a huge, horrible nightmare, and I wish I hadn't been No, actually, it's been really good. I've learned a lot too, and it's another way, a different way to have a say and to have leverage with government, and a really important one. So yeah, I think I'd really encourage it for people to be involved. And you do kind of learn, you learn about different styles of advocacy and different ways of influencing government. And yeah, you also do see across government as well.
Question from Anya. I see Jane's answered that. Yes, you are accepting people with mental illness. Thanks for asking that, Anya, and answering Jane. Well, if there are no other questions, we'll thank Jane and Kieran and Renee for their time. Make sure you take down those details to have a look at more information about the Act, and I'm sure we look forward to seeing in the future more from ACT government on additional ways to be more accessible and inclusive. It's a great initiative.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone. And we've covered a lot of ground today, from the practicalities of the NDIS to the bigger picture of systemic reform in the ACT. And it's been a privilege to guide the conversation and hear from you. To close the session, Craig is going to do the honours. Craig.
Thanks, Sarah. I think people are sort of hopping out anyway, which is okay. But I just want to say, look, we've been really fortunate by the quality of the media partners and MCs and hosts that we've managed to bring to these AFI forums, and this is no exception. We're really keen for the developing partnership with 1RPH to continue. For those of you who haven't checked out the Disability Reform podcast, we'll pop a link in chat and also in the follow-up to the meeting today, so that you can kind of see with that. I regularly engage with it as a way to take the temperature of the sector and to hear some long form content. Look, just really want to thank all of you for donating just sort of under 2 hours of time to this today. Also to acknowledge our guest speakers from the National Disability Insurance Agency. I mean, they get robust questioning, and that's right, but I think it's also, you know, reasonable to acknowledge when people stump up and are prepared to front that, and they kind of know, I think, that there's a lot of change and frustration in the sector at the moment, as do we. To that end, we are doing work as Advocacy for Inclusion to understand and respond to the scope of the changes that are going on. One of the things that we're doing is capturing people's stories so we can reflect that back to representatives. So we popped a survey in chat earlier, but if you could sort of fill that in, if you've got significantly reduced supports, and let us know about it, that enables us to continue our advocacy on those fronts as well. We would strongly encourage people to think about applying for the disability reference group, so it's got a mix of experience and people with disability in different situations around Canberra. And thank the Office of Disability and the Disability Reference Group and Renee for sharing with us about the DRG. Today's forum is just one part of our kind of ongoing work to ensuring that people with disability are informed, supported and heard, especially as we lead into Saturday's federal election, which is likely to be consequential. Keep an eye on your inboxes. We'll be sending out a special election eve e-news tomorrow, which will include a stack of information about what we've done in the campaign, and also information that we've gathered and produced with the Electoral Commission on accessible voting options for people. So we'd encourage you to spread that far and wide. Thanks to Joe Leuchens, Carla and Nick and others in the Advocacy for Inclusion team who make these forums possible and do a lot of the work behind the scenes. So Nick and I can be sort of the talking heads and watch it all go really smoothly. And thanks to all of you for your membership and support of us. And we look forward to seeing you again at coming forums. Stay in touch with us about ideas and things that you'd like us to focus on. Thanks again and good afternoon.